The royal ship soared above the mountains, carrying Daniel and Shari toward the heart of the empire. The cabin shimmered with soft light, walls alive with energy that pulsed like veins of a great creature. Daniel sat near the edge, his hands resting on his knees, his mind raced with disbelief. Just days ago, he had been nothing more than a lonely mechanic. Now he sat inside the Empress's vessel, her daughter leaning against him as if he had always belonged there. Shari's broken wing rested gently against his arm, her eyes closing in tired peace. Across the chamber stood the Empress, her presence commanding even in silence. She studied Daniel with sharp eyes, weighing him not only as a man but as someone fate had thrown into her family's path. Her guards stood at attention, but none spoke. The air was heavy with unasked questions. Finally, the Empress stepped forward. Her voice filled the chamber. Calm yet powerful. You have saved my daughter's life. You risked yourself against my own soldiers, and you carry her trust. But trust is not easily given. And in my court, it is tested. Daniel raised his eyes, his voice steady though his chest was tight. I didn't do it for reward. I did it because she needed someone. The Empress's gaze softened slightly, but her words remained strong. Then hear me, human. My people are proud. They will not accept easily that my daughter has chosen you as protector. Some will see you as unworthy. Some will see you as threat. Daniel glanced at Shari, who stirred at the sound of voices. She sat up, her small hand finding his. Nell, stay, she whispered. Family. The word echoed like a spark in the chamber. The Empress's eyes lingered on her daughter. Then she looked back at Daniel. If you are to stay, it will not be as a guest. It will be as part of my family. Bound by honor and by choice. This is no small thing. Are you ready for such a weight? Daniel hesitated. His mind spun with doubts. He was no warrior, no noble. He was only a man who fixed machines and lived quietly. Yet as Shari's hand held his, all doubts slowly fell away. He met the Empress's gaze. If it means she is safe, then yes. For a moment, silence reigned. Then the Empress raised the glowing heartstone high. Its light filled the chamber, casting shadows against the walls. Then let it be known, she declared. By the heart itself, this human is chosen. By my daughter's word, he is family. By my will, he is protected. The guards dropped to one knee, voices rising in unison. So it shall be. Shari smiled, her glow brightening. She threw her arms around Daniel, whispering with relief. Safe. Family. Forever. But peace was fragile. The Empress's expression darkened as she lowered the heart. Yet danger still lingers, she said, her tone sharpened. The ones who ambushed my daughter remain free. They struck against my blood, and they will strike again, Daniel. You saved her once, but greater storms lie ahead. Daniel's chest tightened. He had stepped into this without thought. But now he realized his choice bound him not just to Shari, but to the battles of an empire. Still, he nodded. Then I'll face it, whatever comes. The Empress studied him for a long moment. Then she inclined her head. Courage is rare. Hold on to it, for soon all the stars will test you. The ship descended through the vast windows. Daniel saw the capital for the first time. Towers of crystal and stone rose high into the sky. Vast wings carved into their sides. The city glowed like a sea of light, filled with millions of winged beings, each one a reminder of how small he truly was. Yet when the ship landed, it was Shari who held his hand tightly, pulling him forward without fear. Crowds gathered, gasps rippling as they saw the Empress's daughter alive, healed, and clutching the hand of a human. Whispers rose, questions, disbelief, awe. The Empress raised her wings, silencing them all. Her voice rang out. My daughter was found, her wing restored, her life saved, not by my armies, not by my nobles, but by this human. By his choice, she lives. By her choice, he is family. The crowd erupted in cries of shock and protest. Some shouted that it was impossible, others that it was wrong. But Shari stepped forward bravely. Raising her glowing wing high, she pointed to Daniel. her small voice carrying louder than expected. "Safe, protector family." Silence followed. The Empress looked down at her daughter, then at her people. "The child speaks true," she declared. "Her word is my word. His fate is now bound to ours." Daniel stood in the middle of it all, heart pounding. He had not asked for glory, or honor, or family, yet somehow, through one simple act of kindness, he had gained them all. As the sun set over the capital, painting the sky in hues of gold and silver, Shari leaned against him, her small voice soft. "Home." Daniel smiled faintly. The word was simple, but in it lay everything. He had found a place not just to live, but to belong. A broken wing had brought him here, but it was trust, fragile and pure, that made him stay. And somewhere deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Asterisk. The night was quiet around the edge of the spaceport. Only the distant hum of engines broke the silence. Ethan walked slowly through the misty forest that bordered the landing zone. He had spent the day repairing old cargo haulers, and now he wanted some fresh air before heading back to his quarters. As he stepped over roots and glowing mushrooms, he heard a faint sound. It was soft at first, almost like the whimper of a wounded animal. Ethan froze, listening carefully. Again the sound came, weak and trembling. It was not an animal, it was a child. His heart quickened. Curiosity pushed him deeper into the woods. The light from his wrist lamp flickered over strange plants and tall alien trees. Suddenly, the beam caught a small figure curled near a fallen log. Ethan took a cautious step closer. It was a little girl, not human. Her skin shimmered faint blue under the light, and delicate wings folded awkwardly against her back. One wing was bent, torn, glowing faintly as if some kind of energy pulsed inside it. The girl trembled, clutching the broken wing with her tiny hands. Ethan knelt down, careful not to frighten her. "Hey," he whispered softly. "It's okay, I won't hurt you." The girl's wide eyes met his, alien yet innocent, filled with tears. She tried to pull away, but the pain made her cry louder. Ethan felt a sharp pull in his chest. No child, no matter what species, should suffer like this. He reached for his repair kit, still strapped to his belt from the day's work. "Easy now," he said, voice low and calm. "Let me take a look." The wing was unlike anything he had seen. It was thin like glass but alive. Glowing veins of light ran through it like rivers of energy. When he touched the edge gently, the girl flinched but did not resist. Ethan's mind raced. If someone saw him helping an alien child, there could be trouble. This world belonged to the Empire. Humans were considered outsiders. If this girl was important, then his life could be at risk. But when he saw her tears fall, he pushed the thought away. He could not leave her here. He opened his kit, pulling out a small stabilizer clamp and some bonding gel he usually used for cracked engine plates. Carefully, he aligned the wing, pressing the glowing edges together. The gel hissed and sparked. Strangely, it did not burn the wing. Instead, it fused gently with the glowing veins. The girl gasped, her eyes widened. The faint light around the wing brightened. Ethan steadied it with the clamp, holding it in place. "There we go, little one," he muttered. "Hold still. It'll be okay." Minutes passed. The girl's breathing slowed, her trembling eased. She looked at Ethan with a mix of confusion and awe, and then, to his surprise, she whispered a word in a language he barely understood. "Protector." Ethan blinked, unsure if he heard right. Before he could respond, a sharp noise echoed through the trees. Heavy footsteps, armored boots striking the ground, and faint metallic voices speaking in a tongue filled with command and warning. The girl stiffened, terror flashing in her eyes. She shook her head quickly, clutching Ethan's arm as if begging him not to let go. Ethan turned off his lamp, pulling the girl closer. The mist thickened around them. The sound of the boots grew nearer, the voices louder. He could not see them yet, but he knew, whoever they were searching for her. The little girl's wing glowed faintly, even in the dark, the repair bond holding but shining like a beacon. Ethan cursed under his breath, trying to cover it with his jacket. Through the fog, he saw shadows, tall armored figures sweeping the forest with scanners. Red beams cut through the mist. One passed dangerously close to where Ethan crouched. He held his breath, clutching the girl tightly, his mind racing. What had he gotten himself into? Another voice rang out, louder this time. "Find the child. The Empress demands her return." Ethan's blood turned cold. Empress. That meant this was no ordinary girl. She was someone powerful, someone untouchable, and he, a simple mechanic, had just placed himself in the middle of something far greater than he could imagine. The footsteps moved closer. The scanners swept again. The girl's tiny hand held onto him tighter, her whisper trembling against his ear. "Don't let them take me." Ethan swallowed hard, sweat running down his neck. He knew he could run. He knew he should walk away. But he also knew one thing. He had fixed her broken wing, and in doing so, he had taken responsibility. Whatever came next, he was no longer just a mechanic. He was the protector of this lost little girl. And the shadows of the forest closed in around them, suspense thick as the night air. The night wind howled along the cliffside. Ethan's boots scraped against the narrow path. One slip, and both he and the girl would tumble into the dark forest far below. The little girl clung to his neck, her glowing wing trembling but still holding. Behind them, the shouts of soldiers echoed. Their scanners lit the cliff walls with red light. Ethan gritted his teeth, forcing himself to keep moving forward. The path was uneven. Jagged rocks cut into his palms when he grabbed for balance. But he did not slow down. The girl whispered, her voice soft. "Protector. They follow. They always follow." Ethan glanced back. Their shadows grew closer. He whispered back, "Then we stay ahead. Just hold on tight." The path turned sharply, leading into a hollow carved into the cliff. Ethan ducked inside, the girl pointing deeper. Faint glowing moss lit the stone walls. "Safe way," she murmured. Ethan trusted her, though doubt pressed at the back of his mind. They moved through the winding tunnels, their breath loud in the silence. Ethan's heart pounded. Every step felt like borrowed time. He wondered why he was risking everything for a child he had just met. Yet when she leaned her head against his shoulder, he knew the answer. Because she was innocent. Because she needed him. The tunnel opened into a hidden valley cloaked in mist. Tall alien trees spread like guardians. Their branches glowed faint silver. Strange beasts with long horns grazed in the shadows, their eyes reflecting like mirrors. Ethan froze, but the girl touched his arm gently. "They not hurt. They fear light," she explained. He nodded, moving carefully between them. The beasts watched but did not attack. The air smelled of damp leaves and sweet pollen. It was peaceful for a moment, almost too peaceful, as they walked deeper. The girl's voice broke the silence. "Why help me, Protector? Humans do not touch wings. They fear punishment." Ethan looked at her, surprised she knew about human fear. "Because you were hurt," he said simply, "and I couldn't just walk away." Her eyes glowed softly. She whispered a word in her tongue, then struggled to shape it into human speech. "Kind. Heart." Ethan gave a small smile, though his chest tightened. He had been called many things in his life, but never that. Suddenly, a roar shook the valley. Trees rattled as something huge moved through the mist. Ethan spun, holding the girl. Close from the shadows emerged a beast larger than any he had seen, its body covered in scales, its head crowned with glowing horns, eyes burning like fire. The girl gasped, whispering, "Shadow beast, hunters send them. They track me." Ethan cursed under his breath. Of course, the soldiers had unleashed monsters to flush them out. The beast lowered its head, preparing to charge. Ethan scanned quickly. There was no escape except forward. He spotted a fallen tree leaning across a gap. A natural bridge, narrow but possible. "Hold tight," he told the girl, then ran. The beast thundered after them, its steps shaking the ground. Ethan leapt onto the fallen tree, balancing carefully as wind howled below. The girl's wing glowed brighter, lighting their path. The beast lunged, its claws scraping the edge of the log. Ethan pushed forward, racing. Across, the girl cried out, but held him tighter at the last moment. Ethan jumped onto solid ground. The log cracked behind him, tumbling into the abyss. The beast roared as it fell with it, disappearing into the shadows. Ethan collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. The girl pressed her tiny hand against his chest. "Protect her strong," she whispered. Ethan laughed weakly. Or maybe just lucky. But deep down, he felt something shift. He was no longer just surviving, he was fighting for her. They rested under a large tree. The glowing bark pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The girl traced patterns in the dirt with her finger, then looked up. "Mother." "She will be angry," her voice trembled. "She does not want humans near me, but I want protector." Ethan's breath caught. So it was true. She was the Empress's daughter. That explained the soldiers. The urgency, the danger. He shook his head. "Your mother only wants you safe." The girl tilted her head. Her eyes deep and old for someone so young. "Safe is not same as free." Her words struck Ethan, reminding him of his own people, humans bound to contracts, treated as tools by the Empire. He wondered if this child saw the same chains he did. Suddenly, distant horns echoed again. The hunters had not given up. Their voices carried through the valley. Ethan stood, helping the girl to her feet. "We can't stay, they'll find us." She nodded, her wing stretching slightly, the repaired light flowing stronger now. It shimmered brighter where his human gel had fused it. She looked at him with wonder. "Your touch changed it." "No healer could," Ethan frowned, unsettled by her words. His simple tools were never meant for alien wings, yet somehow, his repair worked better than their advanced methods. Why? As they walked deeper into the valley, shadows shifted around them. The forest seemed alive, watching. Ethan felt a strange weight, as if their journey was not just escape, but destiny pulling them forward. The girl leaned against him, her small voice breaking the silence once more. "Protector, you are part of me now." Ethan swallowed hard, unsure of what future awaited them, but certain of one thing: he would not abandon her. Not now, not ever. The journey through shadows had only begun. The valley was quiet after the fall of the shadow beast. Mist curled low to the ground, but Ethan knew silence never lasted long. Danger always returned. The girl walked close by his side, her wing faintly glowing brighter with every step. They moved deeper between the silver trees when suddenly a sharp whistle split the air. Ethan froze. The girl clutched his arm. From the mist ahead, tall armored figures emerged, their glowing visors cutting through the shadows. These were not ordinary guards. They moved like predators. The leader stepped forward, his armor darker than the rest, etched with golden patterns, his voice deep and commanding. "Human, release the royal child at once. You are unworthy to touch her." Ethan's jaw tightened. He glanced at the girl, her eyes wide with fear. She pressed closer against him, shaking her head violently. "No, protector," she whispered. "Don't leave." The hunters raised their weapons, energy blades sparking to life. The light danced across the trees. Ethan knew he had no real chance against trained soldiers, but leaving her was not an option. "I didn't steal her," Ethan said firmly, his voice steady. "She was hurt. I helped her." The leader scoffed, his helmet reflecting the girl's glow. "A human repairing the wing of royal blood. Impossible. Only our healers could." The girl stepped forward bravely, her small voice sharp with defiance. "Protector fixed me, not you, not healers." Her words echoed strangely, her wing flaring with light where Ethan's gel had fused it. The hunters hesitated. Murmurs rippled through their ranks. The glowing veins of her wing pulsed with human-made patterns. It was something they had never seen before. The leader growled, "Tricks, nothing more," then lunged, his blade striking toward Ethan. Ethan barely dodged, pulling the girl behind him. The blade cut into the earth, sparks flying. Ethan grabbed a fallen branch, rough and uneven. But it was all he had. He swung hard. The branch cracked against the hunter's chest. The soldier stumbled back a step, surprised. Another hunter attacked. Ethan ducked under the blade, rolling across the damp ground. He fought not with strength, but with desperation and clever timing, using rocks, branches, and the terrain. He tripped one soldier, slammed another into a tree. The girl cried out, spreading her wing wide. The glow suddenly brighter. It flared like a shield around Ethan. The hunters staggered, shielding their eyes from the sudden light. "Protector!" she shouted, her voice stronger than before. "Don't stop!" Encouraged, Ethan stood tall, holding the branch like a weapon. His breaths ragged but his will unbroken. "I won't let you take her," he growled. The hunters regrouped, their leader snarling. "You are only human. You cannot win." Ethan's grip tightened. "Maybe, but humans don't run when someone needs them." The girl clung to his side, her glowing wing wrapping partly around him. The light pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. It was as if their bond gave her strength. The hunters attacked again, but this time the girl raised her voice in a strange alien chant. Her wing pulsed brighter. Energy spread like ripples. The hunters staggered as their armor flickered. Weapons sparking, Ethan realized she was defending him. Using her power not as a weapon, but as a shield, the hunters' movements grew sluggish, their golden leader cursing under his breath. "You dare defy the Empress's law," he hissed, pointing his blade at Ethan. "This will end with your blood." Before he could strike, a horn blew in the distance, sharp and commanding. The hunters froze. The leader clenched his fist. "Retreat! The Empress calls us back." Reluctantly, they stepped into the mist, their forms fading, their glowing visors disappearing one by one. Only the leader lingered, glaring at Ethan. "You cannot keep her. Human, the Empress will decide your fate." With that, he vanished into the fog. Ethan collapsed to one knee, exhausted, his hands bleeding from splinters and cuts. The girl knelt beside him, her glowing wing folding gently over his shoulder like a blanket. "Protector strong," she whispered. "Stronger than hunters." He managed a weak smile, shaking his head. "Not stronger, just too stubborn to give up." The girl tilted her head, studying him. Then she said something that made his heart skip. "Mother will see you. She will know you changed my wing. She will choose what to do with Protector." Ethan frowned. The thought of meeting the Empress filled him with dread. He was a mechanic, not a warrior or a leader. How could he face the ruler of an empire? Yet deep down, he knew there was no choice. Their journey was not finished. This was only the beginning. And the next step would lead them straight to the Empress herself. Asterisk. The long night finally gave way to a pale dawn. Light spilled across the valley as Ethan carried the little girl toward the horizon. His muscles ached, his body was covered in cuts and dirt, but he kept walking, the child's trust in him stronger than his pain. In the distance, the spires of the alien palace rose like mountains, shimmering towers of crystal and steel, glowing in the morning sun. Ethan had never seen it so close. It looked less like a home and more like a fortress, walls guarded by massive statues with wings stretched wide. The girl whispered softly, her voice filled with both fear and hope. "Mother is there," she said, her eyes fixed on the tallest spire. "But Protector, she will be angry. She does not like humans." Ethan tightened his grip. "Then we'll face her together." As they approached, a line of armored guards appeared at the gates, their spears glowing with blue energy. When they saw Ethan carrying the girl, their weapons instantly lowered toward him. "Human," one guard shouted. "You dare bring royal blood in your arms. Release her or be cut down." Ethan stopped, sweat running down his neck. The girl shook her head firmly. "No, Protector stays," she cried, her wing flaring with sudden light. The guards staggered, whispering to one another. They had never seen a wing glow in that strange human-touched pattern. One guard hesitated, then shouted again, "This is forbidden. Step away." Before they could strike, the gates opened, and silence fell across the courtyard. Every guard bowed low as a towering figure stepped forward. She was draped in flowing robes of white and gold. Her radiant wings stretched high, each feather glowing with fire, her eyes sharp like blades. She was the Empress. Ethan froze. Every instinct told him to kneel, but his legs refused. The girl slid from his arms and ran toward the woman. "Mother!" she cried, her voice trembling. The Empress bent down, gathering her daughter close. But her gaze never left Ethan. It was cold, piercing, filled with judgment. "Who is this human?" she asked. Her voice like thunder in the courtyard. The guards shouted in unison. He carried the Princess Majesty. He touched her sacred wing. A deadly silence followed. Every soldier's weapon raised toward Ethan. The Empress's eyes narrowed. For such insult. "Death is the only law," the girl shook her head, tears streaming. "No, mother. Protector saved me. He fixed my wing. The hunters failed. The healers failed. But Protector made me whole again." Gasps echoed through the guards. The Empress's eyes flickered toward the glowing mark on the child's wing. Ethan's repair still shone brightly. The Empress studied Ethan, her voice heavy. "A human did this with no knowledge of our kind, with no right to touch the sacred bloodline." Ethan stepped forward, though fear burned inside him. "She was hurt," he said quietly, but firmly. "I couldn't walk away, not when a child was crying." It didn't matter if she was human or alien. The Empress's gaze hardened, her wings stretching wider, the air thick with power. "You speak boldly, human, but kindness is not proof of worth. Only strength and loyalty decide fate in this empire." The girl clung tighter to her mother's robe, her small voice desperate. "Please do not hurt him. He is my protector." The Empress's expression did not soften, but she raised one hand. The guards lowered their weapons slightly. "You will come inside," she commanded Ethan. "You will face judgment before the throne, and you will prove if you are worthy of the name she has given you." Ethan swallowed hard, the weight of her words crushing his chest, but he nodded. "Then I'll come." The palace gates opened wider, revealing a hall of endless crystal columns and silver floors that glowed with their own light. Every step echoed as Ethan followed the Empress and her daughter, guards lining the walls, their eyes never leaving him. The hall ended at a great throne carved from living crystal, its edges pulsing faintly as if alive. The Empress seated herself, her wings folding like a storm waiting to break. The girl stood at her side, clinging nervously to her gown. "Human," the Empress said, her voice booming across the chamber. "You have entered the heart of my empire, touched what is forbidden, and survived my hunters. For that alone you stand here, but survival does not mean belonging. You must face the trial of worthiness." Ethan's fists clenched at his sides, his voice steady though his heart pounded. "I didn't ask for this. I only wanted to help a child. But if trial is what you demand, then I'll face it." The Empress leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Then prepare yourself, for if you fail, your life will end. But if you succeed, the Empire will decide what to do with you." The girl's small hand slipped into Ethan's, her whisper barely audible but filled with trust. "Protector will not fail." Ethan looked at her, then back at the Empress. Fear no longer weighed him down. He knew the path ahead would be harder than anything before, but he would not back away. Not now, not ever. And so, beneath the crystal throne and the gaze of the Empire, the next chapter of his fate began. Asterisk. The throne hall was silent. The Empress sat high above, her golden eyes fixed on Ethan like a hawk studying its prey. The princess stood close to her mother, her small hand clutched tight to her glowing wing. She looked worried, but her voice was lost in the vastness of the chamber. Ethan stood alone in the center, surrounded by towering crystal pillars. Guards lined the walls, their spears glowing faintly. He could feel the weight of their hatred pressing against him, every eye whispering the same word, intruder. The Empress's voice rang out like thunder. "Human, you claim to have saved my daughter. You claim to hold the name Protector, yet words are nothing. In this empire, worth is proven through trial." Ethan clenched his fists, his voice steady. Then give me the trial, I won't run. The Empress raised one hand, the hall shifted. The crystal floor beneath Ethan glowed. Spreading into a circle, energy rose like walls of light. Enclosing him in a great arena, the guards pounded their spears against the ground, chanting softly in their tongue. The Empress's gaze was cold. The trial of worthiness has 3 paths: mind, heart, and strength. If you fail even one, you die. Ethan's chest tightened, but he nodded. I understand. The first challenge came swiftly. A wall of glowing symbols appeared before him. Alien runes twisting like living fire. A voice echoed, solve the riddle of the ancients, only one answer frees the path. Ethan stared, sweat beading on his forehead. He was no scholar, but he remembered repairing alien engines, their manuals filled with similar runes. He traced the patterns with his finger, muttering, energy flows. Here, then splits. The answer is balance. He pressed the central rune. The wall flashed, then dissolved into light. The guards murmured in shock. The Empress tilted her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. Next came the trial of heart. Shadows formed in the arena. Illusions of wounded children, human and alien alike. Their cries echoed painfully. Who will you save? The voice demanded. Ethan's throat tightened. He rushed to the closest, a human boy reaching out. But as he touched him, the illusion flickered. Turning into smoke, he spun, then ran to an alien child. Her skin glowing faint blue like the princess's, he lifted her, whispered, "It doesn't matter who you are. I'll save you all." The illusions vanished, leaving only silence. Empress's eyes softened for the first time, though only slightly. Then came the final trial, the trial of strength. The floor rumbled as a massive armored warrior stepped from the light, towering over Ethan, a blade in each hand, his voice deep and cruel. "You are nothing, human. Kneel and die quickly." Ethan's heart pounded. He had no weapon but his hands and his will. The warrior charged. Blades slicing through the air, Ethan dove aside. Rolling across the glowing floor, he grabbed a fallen guard's broken spear that had appeared within the arena. The clash began, metal against metal, sparks flying. Ethan fought not with brute power but with timing, striking when the warrior overextended, dodging when death nearly touched his skin. The crowd of guards shouted, their chants echoing through the hall. The princess pressed her hands together, whispering, "Protect her, don't fall." Her wing glowing brighter with each word. The warrior swung hard, knocking Ethan to the ground. Pain shot through his ribs, his vision blurred. The warrior raised his blade for the final strike, but then Ethan saw the glow of the princess's wing reflected on the crystal floor. The same glow that gave him strength in the forest. Gritting his teeth, Ethan rolled aside, grabbed the broken spear, and thrust upward with all his strength. The weapon pierced the warrior's chest plate. Energy sparks burst outward. The giant staggered, roaring, then collapsed into shards of light. The arena fell silent. Ethan knelt on the floor, gasping, blood on his hands, his chest burning, but he was alive. He had endured. The Empress rose slowly, her wings spreading wide, her voice carrying power. "You have solved the riddle, shown a heart that does not divide, and faced strength greater than yourself. You stand, human, where few ever do." The princess ran from her mother's side, throwing her arms around Ethan. "Protect her." "I knew you would win," she cried, her glowing wing wrapping partly around his shoulders. The Empress watched the scene in silence, her gaze unreadable. Then she spoke softly, though the hall carried every word. "Perhaps fate has brought you here for a reason, human. Your worthiness is not in question anymore. But what remains is choice." The guards lowered their weapons, some still glaring, others murmuring in disbelief. Ethan stood shakily, still holding the child. His voice low but firm. "I didn't fight to prove myself. I fought because she needed me, that's all." The Empress's eyes narrowed again, not in anger, but in thought. "Then you are ready for what comes next," she said, her wings folding like a storm calming. Ethan swallowed hard. knowing whatever came next would decide his future forever. The throne hall glowed with quiet power after the trial ended. The air was still heavy with the echoes of battle. Ethan stood weak but unbroken, his chest heaving, his hands scraped and bleeding. The little princess clung to him, her glowing wing wrapped protectively around his arm. The guards whispered among themselves. Never before had they seen a human survive the trial of worthiness. Some looked at Ethan with grudging respect, others with anger, but all knew he had done the impossible. The Empress rose slowly from her throne, her radiant wings stretching like a storm about to break. Silence fell across the hall. "You have proven yourself beyond doubt," she declared, her voice deep and commanding. "Mind, heart, and strength. You have shown all three." Ethan straightened, though his body ached. "I didn't come here to prove myself," he said, his voice steady. "I came because she needed help, and I wasn't going to let her suffer alone." The Empress studied him for a long moment, her golden eyes unreadable. Then she turned her gaze toward her daughter. The princess's small face glowed with hope. "Mother," she whispered, "Protector is mine. Don't take him away." The Empress's wings lowered, her voice softer now, but still heavy with authority. "Child, humans do not belong in the bloodline of emperors. They are workers, wanderers, not protectors of royalty." The princess shook her head fiercely. "Protector fixed my wing when your healers could not. He kept me safe when hunters failed. He stayed when all others ran. He is mine." Gasps spread through the guards, the boldness of her words shocking. Even the oldest among them, Ethan felt the child's hand tighten around his, her trust as unshakable as her voice. The Empress turned her gaze back to Ethan. "You understand what she asks," she said coldly. "She asked me to bind you to this family, to give you place and name, to give you honor no human has ever held. But such a gift is not given lightly." Ethan's throat went dry, the weight of her words struck hard. Him, a simple mechanic, offered a place among the most powerful family in the empire. Yet he saw the doubt in her eyes, the danger in the silence of the hall. He took a breath, then spoke quietly but firmly. "I don't need a throne or a title. I only promised her I would protect her. If being part of your family means I can keep that promise, then I'll accept it. If not, I'll walk away. But I won't stop protecting her." The Empress's expression flickered. For the first time her gaze softened, faintly, almost hidden. Then she raised her hand. Silence deepened. The hall seemed to hold its breath. "Very well," she declared. "If fate has chosen you, then I will not stand against it from this day forward. You are protector of the bloodline." The guards bowed in shock. The crystal floor pulsed with light as the Empress's words sealed into law. The princess cried out in joy, throwing her arms around Ethan. "Protector, you are family now." Her glowing wing wrapped tightly around him, brighter than ever. Ethan's chest tightened, relief and disbelief mixing. He looked at the Empress. "Why trust me?" he asked softly. "Why not kill me as the law demands?" The Empress's wings folded slowly, her voice quieter than before. "Because you did what even my strongest failed to do. You gave my daughter more than safety. You gave her hope. And in this empire, hope is rarer than strength." Her words carried weight like stone, yet for the first time, Ethan heard something almost human in them. The hall erupted with murmurs, some guards angry, others stunned, but none dared question the Empress's decree. Ethan stood taller, though the weight of what had just been given to him pressed heavy on his shoulders. The princess tugged at his hand, her smile wide and innocent. "Protector, no more running, you stay." Ethan looked at her, then at the towering Empress, and finally nodded. "Yes, I stay." That night, as the palace settled under the glow of twin moons, Ethan stood on the balcony with the child beside him. The city of crystal stretched wide. He felt the wind on his face, carrying whispers of a future he never imagined. He was no longer just a mechanic wandering the edge of the empire. He was protector of a princess, bound to the Empress's family, a place no human had ever stood before. But deep inside, He knew this was not an end. It was only the beginning. The Empire would watch him. Enemies would come, and tests far greater than the trial awaited. Yet when he looked at the little girl, smiling up at him with trust beyond measure, he knew he would face them all, because he was protector. And now, he was part of something greater than himself. And in the shadows of the Empire, whispers began to spread. Whispers of a human who touched the sacred wing and lived. A human who the Empress herself called family. A legend had been born. Asterisk.